Hi, I'm Albert Pasaoa, and this is the 635 podcast. The 635 podcast is about local politics, economics, and social and cultural issues in the Alvin Community College area. The views expressed on the show are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of Alvin Community College. I'm here with Ron Smith. How's it going?
What's up, man? Good to be back.
Yeah, so we got some good stories here. Let's see what we got. We got this one story. Good luck dying alone. Young couple shows off fabulous double income, no kids lifestyle and suffers harsh backlash for it. Here are the pros and cons of being a dink. So tell me, Ron, what's the story about?
Well, I saw this going viral online. It was on X/Twitter, but it's called DINKs. Don't double income, no kids.
Yep.
Right. So basically, it was a TikTok, a viral deal where you had these young people going around saying, "Hey, we don't have any kids, and we can have all this fun, and we can travel when we want. We can, we don't have to have extra expenses, et cetera, et cetera." And it was a kind of a backlash, because people are like, "Oh man, you're selfish" or whatever. But they're like, "Man, this is great, right?" So this article, it gives you the pros and cons, if you will, and I agree with a lot of it. But the main deal that they're saying here is that in the article, one of the main cons is that what happens when you get older? When we get 60, 70, who's going to be there to take care of you?
Yeah.
And I agree with that, man, especially seeing my granddad, his wife died a while back, and it's just him. And he has Alzheimer's or whatever. What are you going to do if you don't have any kids and you're in that situation? Yeah. They're saying it's going to get expensive. It's kind of sad, man. It's consumerism at its worst, I guess.
And it's not just, not being taken care of, because even if there was some sort of a social support system, I mean, it would still suck just literally being alone and not having, because you'll be around nurses who their job is to take care of you until you die. And it's, but there's no family there, right?
It's kind of short-sighted though, I would think, right? But this is our culture here in the United States where, and again, I'm not knocking these people, fine, good for them. But I can imagine myself, at one point in my mind, I was like, I'm never going to have kids. But now I'm about to have 2 kids.
Yeah,
but
congratulations.
Right, thank you. So, and but this is just our culture where it's about money. You go through this and it was like, all the benefits. Everything is about money. It was all about, you get higher income saving potential. You can do this or whatever with your money, things of that nature. It was all about money, and perhaps that's, in my mind, probably the problem is that it's very short-sighted. It's just about consumerism and things and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of an obvious one. You have a kid. Well, I mean, let's go back to what it's like when so we both have kids. So no more random taking off to go to party.
Yeah.
It's in fact, that's what made me think. You have one kid, may as well have a second, because your normal sort of carefree life, it's over already. Yeah. You've already paid that cost once you have that one kid. Yeah. So having a second one, it's not going to be as life-changing, transforming as the first one.
A friend of mine, he went to Rice. He worked at Pfizer at one point, pharmaceutical rep, and he ended up having a kid, his first child. This is, mid-2000s, and he was like, I'll never forget what he said. Really smart guy. He was like, you know what? Paraphrase. He was like, me getting this nice job or whatever, maybe it's just God telling me like, hey, I'm giving you this kid or whatever, because if you didn't have this kid, you'd probably just blow your money or whatnot. So you have, a child to be able to take care of them. What if I'm not suffering over here economically per se. Yeah. What if I didn't have a kid? I'll probably blow a lot of my money. So it's good. It keeps you foundational, to have children. Again, it's different for everybody, but people are really upset. They were saying one person on this said, good luck dying alone at 60, 70 with no kids or grandkids to take care of you. And then that got like 5,000 likes for the reply. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's hard to me to even imagine, what I would do without a kid. And part of it is like, you kind of mentioned that with like endless consumerism is like, okay, what kind of crazy stuff can we do now? What kind of over the top vacation and you know, and it's almost like, yeah, there's, in terms of purpose, like without a kid, it's like, it's almost becomes like, I don't know, hedonistic. I don't know.
No, for sure, I agree with that. And I mean, but if I'm not mistaken, the birth rates in our country are down. If I'm not mistaken, the birth rate is down. So, but I would argue too, with the economy, you're the economist or whatever. People are waiting longer to have kids or whatnot because of the economy and stuff. They don't exactly know what's going to happen in the future, so they're probably waiting. I waited till I was like in my mid-30s to even get married.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then later had a child, so I was perhaps late. Same thing with my wife. So, I mean, it's different for everybody, but this notion that they're kind of rubbing it in people's faces on TikTok, like, hey, we're dinks. We can do X, Y, Z or whatever. And it was going back and forth with the husband. I'm a dink. I can do blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you're better than me because you don't have kids, I guess, but not really.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's well, first of all, it's an international phenomena of, you know, as economies develop, the birth rate drops. And there's, you know, people try to explain that, and, you know, I guess part of it is, I don't know, part of it is people have kind of high standards in terms of, if I have a kid, we've got to, you know, be in this neighborhood and go to this school, and, you know, we have pretty high standards.
You're talking about the American dream, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's, although it's interesting because it's, if you look, you know, across different income groups, lower income people tend to have more children than higher income people, which is kind of like the opposite of what you would think.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's an interesting paradox. But
yeah, my wife was saying a while back, you know, this is before we had kids or whatever. I think we was about to have our second. She was like, well, if you try to wait till everything's perfect, then you'll never end up having kids.
Yeah.
If you try to wait till like, oh, I'm going to get this X amount of money or I'm going to get this particular house, then you probably won't end up having kids at all because it's not always going to be perfect.
Yeah.
So I took that thought. I was like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it does. And, you know, the more careful and thoughtful you are, you know, the less likely you're going to say, you know, I'm not ready, right?
But I'm going to say this too, though, because TikTok, I don't have TikTok. I just saw this on another social media site, Twitter/X. This video going viral, people were, you know, responding to it. But I do want to say this: the algorithm here in the United States in terms of TikTok is different than you will get in China.
Yeah.
Right. I know. I'm sure we kind of talked about this. So you're not going to get arguably this same type of information or this same type of algorithm here, basically down in family structure, as opposed to if you were in China.
Oh, absolutely. Especially since China is they have a population emergency. Their birth rate has collapsed and their government's freaking out. You know, and I know that they're actually trying to promote. You know, let's see how successful they'll be, but promote, and they're trying to encourage, you know, young people to take time off and go on vacations and stuff like that. So
think about it. Why do we here in the United States get that algorithm as far as like deterioration of the family as opposed to China? I know in Japan, I think it was some Japan years back. It was on CNN because their population is super old. And this was like some years back, I don't know, 2010 or something. And it was people that worked at Kodak. Kodak was they let you have Fridays off or leave early so you can go, you know, make love to your spouse to have kids. This is like your company say, hey, go, leave early. You need to go and, you know, make children.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is interesting that, you know, in terms of economists, they always tend to think in terms of economic growth, GDP, and rising income, but along with that comes, you know, things like this where, you know, kids become, you know, it's no longer a priority, and you know.
So more economic success, then the family structure is going to suffer.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know a way around that, and part of it is, you know, as you know, just like this article, as your income goes up, there's more things you can do with your time and money, you know, aside from having a kid, right? And it is a type of consumerism, and by the way, if you don't have some type of really religion, because I think people who identify as Mormon still have a higher birth rate, despite being higher income, right? And you could probably, and I'm guessing same thing with Indian American, not Native Americans, but people from India,
Right.
right? A very successful group, but I'm pretty sure their birth rates are actually pretty high.
For sure. No, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up. For sure, many Christians are like that. You know, go populate the earth and things of that nature. So I definitely agree with that notion, if you will. You know, it's just. I'm not saying this, but this is the argument that it's a selfishness that comes along with this. They say, hey, I'm a dink. And if money becomes your God or whatever, if you will, money becomes, you know, the thing that you look up to most, then of course you're going to miss the point that I'm not going to be in my 20s forever. I'm not going to be in my 30s forever.
Yeah.
I need something down the line, if you will, as far as like that. One of the things I highlighted here says, one of the biggest counter arguments for choosing not to have children is a lack of built-in social support, right? So what happens when you get older? You know, nobody's gonna care about you like your family or your kids. So I don't know, man. Kind of disappointing, man, but not surprising.
Yeah. So let's go back. Let's go dig deeper into this article. What is okay? So pros. I mean, obviously you have income. You can save more money. You can meet your retirement goals effortlessly, right? No college and stuff like that. Then here we go. Lack of support as you age.
Yeah. You may need all extra cash, but one of the things that go along with that, it was you turn it and it says the thing about that is that when you get older, if you don't have any kids, then you're gonna have to end up paying somebody to take care of you, and that can get expensive. And I'll use my granddad. You know, it's not a big deal. The facilities that he's in now, my aunt has to put him in certain facilities, but they're very expensive. You know, so you don't have that. But luckily, he has my aunt or whatever to take care of him. But what if it wasn't my aunt there? You're gonna have to do that on your own. You know, you got to have go to a facility, have a nurse. Is what they're saying. You're gonna have like and that's pricey, a caregiver to come take care of you.
Yep.
So I mean, you may have it good now, but you got to pay that piper later, essentially.
Yeah.
You know.
And funny thing about just having one kid, and I heard a comedian mention this, but it's
Chris Rock.
No, well, wait. I don't know what the joke is.
Okay.
Let me tell you my punchline. But this comedian, he pointed out that the single child has to take care of two parents, right? And so the child has more people to take care of than the parents do.
That's good. That's good.
All right, what was that? What was the Chris Rock line?
No, he was just like having two kids are easier than having one kid. I don't remember that talk, but he was on Jimmy Fallon talking about. You probably can look that up, but he was making a joke about it because they can, I guess, babysit each other. Something he was saying, but
well, no, I mean I've thought that many times because I have one kid and he gets bored, right? And it's like, well, what could I do? And then it's like he turns to us. I can't just say, take your brother out to the creek and throw rocks or do something, or me being the sports guy. I mean, having a sibling to do some athletic thing with. I mean, I think that's a huge factor in a lot of athletes' success. Certainly, like Serena and Venus Williams, if they didn't have each other, they probably wouldn't have been successful. I mean, they had each other to train with all the time.
I don't know if you saw that movie. I haven't seen the movie. Maybe
yeah.
King Richard, you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Great movie.
Okay.
Great movie. And so they would practice together, play against each other.
Wow.
And of course, there's even that sibling rivalry, which really, pushes them to do better. And actually, that was a big part of the movie.
I might need to check that out. Yeah. I heard it was pretty good. Yeah. And my daughter's they're gonna be 6 years apart. So she's gonna have to be that big sister.
Yeah. That's the age gap is always going to be an interesting thing. I think your older daughter is now going to be more of the caregiver type, but that's a good responsibility, right? So you got a babysitter right there, automatically.
These are the things you don't get like if you don't have kids.
Yeah.
And I've become a better person just by having to be calmer and just different characteristics that come along with being a parent. But obviously we're biased because we have kids. Yeah. And again, I'm not knocking people that don't have kids. I had that thought process before. Like, man, I'm never having kids. Then I met my wife, and she's a little bit different in terms of my thought process at the time of that. And I'm thankful now, but just this notion that money is going to be everything. Money's not everything. You're an economist. I tell my students all the time, hey, money's not everything. It's important. You want to balance it out, but it's not everything. But this gives the notion that it is everything. And I think that's a big problem, generally speaking.
Yeah, I mean, money allows you to, reach your objectives and to do things. And the question is, what do you want to do, right? And I don't know. I've had a kid for 12 years, and so it's always pretty obvious what we need to do. Or I write like if he didn't have a kid, then it's almost like thrashing around in terms of, well, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
I don't know, right? So it's really, I guess, having a kid gives you direction in life.
That purpose that you were saying, or not, instead of going on TikTok and doing viral videos, hey, look at us, et cetera, et cetera. No, I mean, and then they go on and say, they talk about, and they end it with fewer tax benefits. So it ends with, you see what I'm saying? It ends with the money thing again. So that's supposed to be a con.
So wait, the con, the con of being a dink is fewer tax benefits.
Correct. Because you can't have any, dependents or whatnot?
Yeah.
So as a parent, you can claim a tax credit, and then it gives you how much money you may be, having to pay or whatever. In comparison, taxpayers with no children qualify for a maximum of $600. So they're like, hey, have kids. You can get more money if you have kids on your taxes, as opposed to not having kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest counter argument here against this article is that maybe missed the most important thing. Is that you're missing out on basically a huge purpose in life, and of course, all the great things with having family. But that actually now makes me wonder, because I always hear about a lot of people, a generation of people who feel like they have no purpose, right? Maybe this is correlating with just fewer people having kids or not having kids until they're older, right?
I would definitely agree with that. And you can put in there and again, I just want to make it clear, everybody's different, but including our society, people don't want to get married. The marriage rates are not great. Obviously people are not having kids. I would definitely argue that. What about during COVID or whatnot? Those people that were at home, perhaps with their spouse or alone, because they didn't have any kids or anything like this. You're stuck in the house and things like this. Suicide rates are through the roof right now. Depression. This is according to the CDC, WHO. I mean, so I would definitely feel like that the family structure is being decimated. At least the thought process of having a family is being decimated in our society, particularly America. Meaning it's not important, but that's a farce to me. That's not true. We need that social connection. We talked about that our second episode. So at least me being on.
That actually makes me wonder if I think a lot of people, maybe before they have kids, they're almost first looking for a purpose in life and then tack on the family. Once you've gotten that direction and you get your career going, but maybe that's completely backwards. Maybe you start your family first, and that will give you purpose, and then add everything else on top of that, right? So
yeah, I mean, I know for me, I was like, man, I need to get a good job. I need to get a good job. And when I asked my wife to marry me, I didn't have a great job yet, but I had some good prospects on the line. But as far as having kids, I wasn't even thinking about that. That wasn't until I actually got a good career and I was married. But it's different for everybody. But I thought probably in the back of my mind, will I have kids? Maybe, especially when I got my wife. She's more family oriented than I am. So I probably figured we was going to have a kid or two. But now that I have a kid, it's I couldn't imagine not having a child. And I've seen what it's done for me personally. So I would encourage my daughter, hey, just make sure you get your education and then, get married and then have a child. That's just how I would say it.
Yeah.
But everybody's not,
Right. Don't have a child too soon.
Don't have a child too soon, exactly. Right.
Make sure you get your graduate degree. No,
I don't know. We're on the same point, for sure. That's what I did, so for sure. My wife has her bachelor's, so, keep that on the horizon, but not having kids at all and just doing that for the sake of money, I don't think that's a great idea.
The great thing with you having more than one kid is you can kind of experiment. You can say, let's have this kid just have kids really soon, and the other one, not till she's 35 or something. Let's we'll get both sides going on and see which way works. But
yeah, for sure.
Maybe part 2 of this discussion, we could get some dinks on, and they will try to convince us how we're missing out, and maybe they can change their mind. And it's tell us, what do you guys do? And maybe
that'll be something for sure. That'll be something.
All right, so let's switch gears here. Let's talk about. You had another article here of kind of switching gears, to some football drama involving a kid. So if they just didn't have a kid, they wouldn't have this problem. But here they go.
There you go.
So now this one is parents of young Chiefs fan wearing headdress threatened to sue Deadspin. Okay, so I know there's some backstory here. So give me what's the backstory of this?
Well, the main thing is, all right, so you got the Chiefs, they're an NFL football team, and their mascot is Native American or whatever. So this kid went to the game, and he painted his face or whatever black and red, and he had a headdress on like a Native American. Well, Deadspin writer, it's a sports blog essentially, and he's black. I just want to put all the fact, this black writer put a picture of the kid just with the black face on one side.
Just one side.
Yes, and said, hey, look at this kid. He's dressed in blackface.
Wish I had that picture. Okay.
But come to find out, and plus he basically, he didn't dox the kid, but the kid is a minor. You're putting his face up there too, so that's a big deal, right?
So there was a picture of, so on the screen, it's like one side of the face is black, the other side is red, so if the camera angle is to his right, it looks like he's just wearing all black.
Just wearing black. And then the guy was like, man, this is a disgrace. This kid is racist. What are the parents teaching him? And the NFL needs to address this and everything like this. And come to find out, it was a lie. It was a hoax. The kid just had regular garb on as far as like native, just like many people in the stadium. And now the parents they're thinking about suing Deadspin, which is the blog / news outlet that allowed this to transpire.
Wow. We can pay for his college.
Man,
this pulls.
But Deadspin, they've had a lot of issues, and they're kind of like a ragtag, quote unquote, sports blog or whatnot. Some people would argue that they're just, a sensationalized media outlet, essentially.
Do you think it was deliberate? Do you think the journalist
deliberate for sure?
Yeah, he's like
100%, right? Because they're trying to get clicks. That's what they're about, and plus, it's race baiting essentially. That's what, and I've kind of been listening to it on the side, like the news. I'm a sports fan, of course, football particularly. It was a race bait thing. All right, the guy's black. You look at some of these sports writers, Jamil Hill, and some of these other people, Michael Smith. I mean, these are people that are in the sports space, and they essentially cause drama. Their stick is, hey, this is racist. Like racism is the whole deal. So it was done on purpose. I'm not surprised this guy's going to get sued along with Deadspin. I hope they do sue the people.
I think it'd be great if somebody wrote a similar article, but from the left side of the kid's face, where he's all red and say he's racist against Indians, like red,
well,
and his face is red. They
said that.
They
said that too. Like, I'm paraphrasing. The guy was like, the writer was like, oh, not only did, and I guess this is when it came out, all right, that hey, this is false. He doubled down, if I'm not mistaken, the writer. Well, he's not only offended black people, but also Native Americans too. So he's double. But after the image of the boy, Phillips, this is the writer, wrote a scathing article about what he called the boy's racist and disrespectful actions. It takes a lot to disrespect two groups of people at once. Talking about black people and Native Americans. So he didn't say, hey, I'm sorry. This is hoax. I'm a bad person. No, he just doubled down. And this is a 9-year-old kid.
Yeah, 9-year-old.
A 9-year-old kid who's Native American himself.
That's hilarious. Does he have a higher percent than Elizabeth Warren? What's his percent? I don't know.
Honest, I don't know. But his mom was upset about it. He was like, he continued despite their age. Who taught that person that what they are wearing was appropriate? I mean, think about that. And if you had I do have a kid. If my little girl was 9 years old and this came out in the papers, I'll be pretty upset.
Oh yeah.
And then he goes on to say the NFL they're allowing this to happen or whatever. So the NFL, they already got their issues. So
well, they were. That's interesting. So there must have been some criticism of. Obviously there was criticism of the name Redskins.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs have managed to ride that out. I mean,
Albert? That's the thing. All right, so the NFL, like a lot of these other corporations, NBA, NHL, they're corporations, of course. So they're gonna get into the whole sensitivity training, and this is just a frank DEI and stuff. That they don't want their corporations to look bad, so they're scared of that. So the Redskins have been and it's now no longer owned by the old owner, Dan Snyder. They sold it to Magic Johnson and some other groups. So they're no longer owned by Dan Snyder, who was considered racist. A bunch of stuff. It was a lot of, but I don't know how the Chiefs were able to get away with. Oh, they're the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. The Redskins had to change their name specifically because FedEx Field was going to essentially not allow them to play there. And they say, if you don't change the name, we're going to do X, Y, Z. So it was a monetary aspect. Mm-hmm. So who knows if the Chiefs will be next in terms of having to change their name, particularly after something like this.
Yeah.
That's something we should be on the lookout for. But it's all corporate. It's all politics. It's all about money. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think the Chiefs will probably end up staying a little longer. I mean, just the name. I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently derogatory. I guess you could say, you don't want a people to be mascots, but
what about Florida State Seminoles?
Yeah,
but
that's true.
What about? I mean, you got a lot of these.
The Vikings, right?
Right. But here's the thing, and the Vikings. Well, hey, it's okay to make fun of Caucasians, but if you do it to minorities, it's a problem. This is the notion that's out there. So
yeah.
But the NFL, it's interesting that he calls out the NFL as writer because he knows that the NFL will probably cave, but now people know it's a hoax, so it's not a big deal. I mean, they supported Black Lives Matter. If you watch an NFL game today, you'll see racism in the end zone, right? So they wear Ukraine flags on some of the helmets or whatever. They're the NFL, they're big time virtue signalers.
And okay, excuse my football ignorance, but is the Chiefs the same team where Taylor Swift's boyfriend?
Yeah.
Interesting coincidence. I'm wondering if they were. I mean, if I'm trying to imagine what the sort of the journalistic meeting would be like. It's like, wouldn't that be great if we create this huge storm? Get Taylor Swift involved. Ask her, what do you think of this kid? And do you condone this stuff? And then get her boyfriend. That would have been it would have been the huge storm.
It would. I wouldn't be surprised, even though the Chiefs are not doing great. Like they used to. This year they just lost as of now to the Packers. But that's something, man. I don't know what's going on behind this whole Chiefs situation. This is. I don't think it was contrived between the Chiefs, NFL, and this writer. I don't think that. But,
yeah.
It is kind of ironic that that's going on with the whole Chiefs thing. She was actually at the game this past Sunday or whenever that was as well.
Yeah.
Supporting her man Sunday night.
Okay.
Yeah. They lost though.
Is there any? Oh, that'd be interesting to see if there's any data of is Taylor Swift's presence, is that increasing viewership?
Yes.
Are they getting?
Yes,
it
for
is?
sure. Yeah, no doubt.
Wow.
Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, came out, if I'm not mistaken. I was reading something. He was like, he welcomes her. He's glad. I'm paraphrasing. He's glad that she's there, or basically having the NFL being talked about like it is.
Yeah.
So that is of course the viewership. You got these Swifties coming out as we talked about. So yeah, the ratings. You got more people watching, particularly women that are nothing about the NFL. They're just caring about Taylor Swift.
Now I'm just thinking this from a business perspective. You got to imagine all these sports that are like, oh, we got to get. Who could we get? Because have you ever heard of pickleball?
Yeah, I've heard about it. I don't.
It's supposed to be the fastest growing sport like in the world or something, and it's basically an easier version of tennis because it's like with a wiffle ball, and it kind of looks like ping pong except you're standing on the ground and hitting balls, and so. I could imagine if this association is like, if we can get some, mega charismatic star to, I don't know, like either date a pro pickleballer or to be one of them, it'll drive attendance and stuff. So this is probably something that people are probably, trying to cook
as
up
a
some
business
ideas.
model or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean that's great if you can, get somebody in. Let's see, I know jiu-jitsu got. Well, I mean, it's been a while since she's been in the big screen, but Gisele
Bundchen, yeah.
Gisele Bundchen.
Tom Brady's ex.
Yeah. Apparently she's training jiu-jitsu.
Oh, wow.
So that would be maybe a good advertisement, right?
No, I didn't know that, man.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it's a huge win for the NFL.
And it's still a saga. Some people think it's fake or whatnot, but that whole romance. But, I mean, I guess the Kansas City Chiefs just can't stay out of the limelight with major stories. They are the Super Bowl champions, reigning Super Bowl champions, so maybe that has something to do with Patrick Mahomes, very charismatic guy. So they just can't stay out. But this is trash, man. This guy is terrible, what he's did to this kid.
Yeah.
I hope he – and ironically – the law firm that the parents have retained, they're the same law firm that got payment from Fox News Dominion lawsuit, the $700 million, almost $800 million lawsuit. Rumble.com also has retained them for their services. So this law firm is pretty popular.
So this is another advantage to having a kid. You can file a lawsuit.
Hey, there you go. There you go. I know I would be filing a lawsuit for sure. That they're gonna get paid. Somebody's gonna pay me, man.
All right, Ron. Thanks for coming by this week.
Yeah, man. Thank you, dude. It was fun.